Hello, everybody that is officially here. Glad to see you in the chat. I guess you're glad to see me. Um, all the online stuff is still pretty awkward for me. I'm sure for some of you it's still kind of awkward on your end. My goal is to figure it out and make it all less awkward by the time we're done. But, well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So, uh, what the purpose of the our last successful live stream was a week ago when we went over the syllabus, and that was as exciting as going over a syllabus possibly could be. The purpose of these live streams are a couple reasons. One, the pre-recorded lectures I try to keep a little more timeless so I can reuse them. So I'm not going to talk about current events very much. Here is our chance to chat together about current events, what is happening in the news today, and we can get that from all of your pack discussions because that's the best way to do it. So I always try to read a handful of them and read as many as I can. This past week, you guys did a lot of very interesting topics, and there were some interesting discussions. There's a couple of things I want to get done. I want to be able to do in these live streams, and I'm using this OBS software. For those of you who are in the Twitch world, OBS is the most popular one. Unfortunately, it is very limited, and it like half the stuff doesn't work, at least for me. I hear that's not true everywhere. So the things that are not working is I can't do any screen share, and I can only share a few programs. Not all the programs are working, so I can share my PowerPoints with you guys pretty easy, and I can share Paint. So I can draw some graphs if you want me to draw some graphs with you guys together. But I was trying so many other different programs, and it wasn't working. Like Note, to where I can draw. The graphs are much prettier if I draw Note or these other softwares, but none of them were working that well. And a browser, like I can't just share my screen. For some reason that wasn't working in OBS. So I can't. My goal was to look at pack together. I'd pick a couple of them that are really good, show you why those are really good. But now you'll just have to deal with my face and chatting about it. So I guess first, well, hello everybody. I'm glad we're getting some people in here. We could chat about what makes a good post on Packback. One, it's first off, the name is funny. I mean, Packback. I mean, it's like my 3-year-old is talking. But I didn't name the company, and so it is what it is. I think has a potential to be a pretty good discussion platform. I think it was a lot better than the discussion thing on Blackboard, because I thought the discussion board on Blackboard was really clunky, and I couldn't imagine subjecting all these students to that. So I am making you pay more for it. We'll wait a little bit. I mean, I'm obviously kind of curious what your impressions are for the first time going through it. If you have anything you want to type in the chat about it, what you liked, what you didn't like, or any questions you have about it, let me know. But let's wait a month or a month or two, and we'll have a much better idea how useful that platform is for us. So what makes a good post on there? One, it needs to have a citation, and the citation has to be from someplace quality, not just some third-rate, highly partisan news source, but actually something that's making an interesting argument. That is one of the reasons why I gave you guys a list of sources. Of course, you can use many sources outside that, but I wanted to give you a pretty wide list so you can get a good idea of kind of the quality of the conversations I'm looking for. Next is, so you ask your question. It can't be yes or no. It has to be something interesting, and then make an argument, or take a side and bring up some good points back and forth. I like the ones, especially when you guys would go and find another student and you'd comment back and forth and find someone who holds one opinion and someone who holds another. The one that got the most comments this past week was discussing free college education. So, is free college education good for the economy? And there were some interesting opinions both ways on that. Got a question here from Christian Vargas. I have a question. If I didn't use my student email, but instead my personal email to make my Packback account, how will you know it's me? Well, make sure your name's on it. Make sure your name's registered for it, and you should be able to change the email for it inside their system, inside their account. Just go into the account and say change my email and hopefully be able to use that. My preference is for you to do your UH, but it shouldn't be a big deal as long as your name is there. I should know it's you. Make sure you spell your name right. Okay. Yay, you made it. I'm glad you made it too, Ryan. So that's my general comments about it. I do have something in the news. I'm going to I don't have the link here. I had the link earlier. So I can't share the browser with you, but I'll post the link in the comment section, and then you can open up on your browser there. And it's about Popeyes chicken sandwich, and it's been making the news. It's been selling out, and I'm kind of an aficionado of chicken sandwiches. They're one of my favorite things in this world, especially spicy ones. I'm not sure that theirs is spicy, but let me paste this into the chat. Okay, so click on the link, head on over. This is a Bloomberg opinion piece. So this is not a formal paper. This is not a scientific study. No one's gone out there, collected a lot of data and tested it to see if it was one way or the other. But I thought it was an interesting anecdote. And it's related to this class, so even better. So Popeye's chicken sandwich is an economic indicator. How so? Like the Whopper and the Big Mac, it was born during an economic boom to help a fast food chain discreetly raise prices. So currently, our unemployment rate is the lowest it's been in 50 years. Here, I'll post a link for that too. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Ryan, do they have a deal at Popeyes on Tuesday? Honestly, I haven't been in Popeyes in a long time. I saw this in the headlines last week, and I thought I'd make my first round there. So here is the link for the unemployment rate. So click that and just kind of give yourself a look. See, when currently the unemployment rate is 3.7%. Last time we've had 3.7% was in the late 1960s. So I wasn't born, and I think my mother was only 9 years old at the time. So a very, very, very long time ago. So my point being is we are in an economic boom. Things are going big. Why would that spur Popeyes to create this new sandwich? Well, this article notes, if you scroll down through it, both the Whopper and the Big Mac were introduced during times of economic expansion when the economy was growing. 1957 for the Whopper, and the Big Mac, I don't see it right here in the article. But the Big Mac was also during a year of economic boom. 1967. And if we look over on the unemployment rate, what was happening in 57 and 67? Well, those were near the bottom of those unemployment hills there. So what's going on here? What's the economics? Times are going well. That means unemployment's really low. It is more difficult for firms to hire workers. The only way to hire more workers is to offer them more wages. And if you hire them more wages, what happens to the firm's profitability? It goes down. Well, to get around that, they like to raise prices. But right now things are still fairly competitive. The food industry in particularly is always quite competitive. Inflation is fairly low, so it's hard for them to raise prices. The other thing you can do is introduce a new product at a higher price. That's a way of raising prices, because it's not just raising prices, but you're also increasing the quality out there. Anyways, I thought that was an interesting anecdote that macroeconomic booms and busts are important for the quality of fast food out there. Ryan says, it's like 2-piece Tuesday, discounted chicken, or go at Buffalo Wild Wings. I love Buffalo Wild Wings. I haven't been in there in a while either. So that's the news I got to share with you guys. What do you guys? I mean, what questions do you have? Did you watch the videos? I mean, there were a lot of videos there. We discussed income inequality. We discussed general macroeconomic data. We discussed scarcity, trade, the production possibility frontier, any of those things. Do you guys have any questions about them? I struggled with the homework. I think the wording kept tripping me up. Do I need to schedule time with you or your TA for help? Yeah, that's always a possibility. I'm glad you're doing the homework earlier. I mean, today's Monday and it's due Wednesday, so that's great that you got a good start on the homework. Shelby Joe. So I explained this in the first live stream for Shelby. You can find the links for that inside of MindTap. You get to MindTap via Blackboard and read the syllabus that's located there as well. But for Martha, who's asking, I wanted some particular help with the TA or whatnot. So this will be for the future. Feel free to say, hey, in your live stream, can you go over one of these questions? Or I might be able to do that now. There might be a bit delay because I haven't played with the system enough. But if you have a particular question in mind, we can go over it now. I'd be happy to do that. Or you can say, hey, beforehand, to help make our time together pretty efficient. Just say, hey, we can go over that. Also, yes, I do keep office hours. Those office hours, you can come in via person, or we can meet via Skype or something if you'd like. You can either meet with me between 3 and 4 Tuesday, Thursday, or some other time, and you can schedule that via the link on the calendar app located on the syllabus. And our TA, of course, is also very willing to help you. Is it bad if we haven't watched them yet because I didn't know how to get on Cengage without a subscription? Well, it's Monday. It's due Wednesday. It's not like hours and hours, but you'll have to crunch. Yeah, you'll have to crunch. How long is it taking? I know I've heard of a couple of people have finished the homework. How long is it taking you to do it? I'll get to William Ritchie's question in a bit. But if you could just say how long is it taking you to do the homework, I'd appreciate that. Sometime before, the expectation for this course is a face-to-face class is going to involve about 3 hours together in person and twice that much outside of class. So 9 total hours for a 3-credit-hour course, and this is a 3-credit-hour course. Our time together, if you include the pre-recorded lectures and you include these live streams, I'm hoping will be less than 3 hours, like 2.5 hours or something, or less. For the time outside of class, I'll need you to be expected to read the text, to work on the homework, to maybe struggle with the homework a little bit, practice with it, get help, work with your peers. I strongly encourage you to work with some peers. So 30 minutes to do the homework is great. That's great. Okay. If you watch the videos, I would say an hour. Okay. Oh, what does BET mean? I'm new to that. What is that? Bet. Probably longer than it should, like an hour. Okay, so we got 30 minutes, an hour. Both of those are fine. I would start to get worried if it was taking you like 2 hours or 3 hours to do the homework. I mean, if you're completely lost and you include like reading the chapter as part of that, then that's fine. But I'm talking about actual homework doing time. I only had trouble on question 7 of problems and applications. All right, I can look that up. If we are at work, are we able to access these live streams after? Yes, of course. They're recorded and they're posted on MindTap. It was the comparative and absolute advantage. The homework doesn't take long. Just watch all the videos. Okay, good. So the videos do help you with the homework. Because this is also, I've taught this course many times before. The first time I taught this course was summer of 2014, so I've been teaching this course quite a bit, but this is my first time with a new book. So first time online, first time with a new book, and so there's a lot of things I'm not too sure about yet. But if the videos are closely linked with the homework, that's my goal, so I'm happy to hear that. I just picked the class up today. Has there been any work due? Yes, there has, Caesar. Caesar, if you could just send the TA and me an email, and we'll catch up. Make sure you watch. Get caught up by reading the syllabus, etc., etc. Question 7. Okay, so I haven't gone over this question before, so hopefully it doesn't stump me. All right. Oh, I do have a question as you guys are doing it, because I wasn't quite sure when I was looking at it. You get multiple attempts. Do you get multiple attempts at the exact same question, or is it multiple attempts, like every time you try to do the homework, it's a completely different question set each time? Can you let me know on that one? Nope. Oh, it just changes the numbers. Oh, okay, okay. Not always exactly the same. Because there was some question. I had a student email me, and I was discussing with my peers on what policy I should do on whether or not the multiple attempts should average or you should get the best of them. I'm of the inclination that I should average between, but I understand that some people would prefer that the questions all be, you get the best out of all the attempts. How many attempts do you get? Do you get 2 attempts, 3 attempts? I kind of see here there's 3. And Christian says best. I know, I know, I know. Oh, but 3 attempts is quite a bit. I mean, you could just guess, and I mean, it's a multiple choice. If you just guess, then you're going to get it. But I need you guys to do it right. Otherwise, how are you going to be learning? That's what I care about, is whether you learn. What's best for your learning. If you can convince me that taking the best will help you learn the best, and it's not just going to be you guessing 3 times and finally getting the right one. If you saw my grade, you would understand. Okay. Yes, I know, less stressful, but learning is stressful. It will help you learn the best. But why? Like, how is that better? How would that prevent you just from guessing? Because guessing is not learning. I mean, guessing, seeing you got it wrong, questioning why you got it wrong, that's learning, but just guessing 3 times without learning is not learning. I just want you to pay attention on the first question. That's all. I want you to think about it. I also want you to go, oh, I got the first question wrong, to not like super stress out, because an average isn't going to kill you. So, where is Juan Jose? You repeated that. You did. I got you the first time. Let me. Actually, I'll answer yours first, and then we'll do question 7 together. So Juan Jose Sanchez asks, I'm not understanding the difference between positive economics and normative economics. Your video for your video, can you explain more on what they mean? Yeah. So the short answer is positive economics says if A occurs, then B occurs. It just is trying to explain how the world works. Normative says how the world should work. So as human beings, as policymakers, we're not in a vacuum. We have to use science in order to make decisions. And positive economics does not take into account morality, doesn't take into account what is right and what is wrong and how things should be. But as human beings and as decision makers, we do have to make decisions on how the world should be, because we have the power to make a decision. As long as we have the power of choice, then we have to have a moral system to help us decide what is right and wrong. So normative economics says if the unemployment rate is very high, so we're in a recession, then we should use government policy to do something about it. That is a normative argument. It relies on positive economics because it will say if you increase the stimulus by 1% of GDP, then the unemployment rate will fall by 2 percentage points. As long as that's the case, that's the positive statement. If increasing stimulus, then lower unemployment rate, that's the positive. The normative economics comes along and makes the argument we should increase stimulus spending because it will unemployment rate and because it's the right thing to do. Lowering unemployment is the right thing to do. That's a normative argument, the second half of that. So, real quick, if A, then B, positive economics. If A, then we should B, normative economics. Okay. Just we do in other parts of life, we try things until we find the best way to get the desired result. So the best score, we should get the grade. Yes, but also when I get the first attempt wrong, I have to redo the whole problem in the second attempt, and it should count for my best grade. Well, Alaya, that's really good that positive is based on facts. That's true, but Normative is also based on facts. We make sure our moral system is based on facts as well. But there is a certain subjectivity to morality, and in this class we're not going to debate morality too much. Some view morals as completely objective, some view morals as completely relative, and there's of course many arguments in between. Yes, normative things like values. Okay. An educated guess is kind of learning. Yes. So if you really don't know, guess. But also spend some time uh, reading the text or watching the videos or thinking through it before you submit it. I do want to make sure you don't have an incentive to just click, mindlessly click through it. Because it's not because you're bad students. All of you are great students. You're all trying. You have so many things pressing on your time. I mean, I'm no different. If I'm taking an exam, I'll just click myself, and I love learning. So I just want to create an incentive environment that fosters learning, even if learning is painful. Is it in my control? Actually, Mark, that's a good question. Is it in my control? That I don't know. New system. But I imagine it is. That sounds like a fairly basic feature that MindTap should have. Okay. Let's do this question 7 together. So this is question number 7 from Problems in Application from chapter 3. It reads, a German worker takes 400 hours to produce a car and 2 hours to produce a case of wine. So I think I can do this on the paint here, and you guys can see my paint. Can you see that? Oh, come back. That didn't work. Go over here. Put that on brush. Black. Can make it big. Nice and big. Alright, can you guys see that? Oh, okay, you can't see that. Can't see that. Let me, Oh, there, did that work? Can you see that? Yeah, you can see now. I got it on my test screen. Okay. There's, so is this a supply and demand? No, that's not a supply and demand. Do you know why we know that's not supply and demand? Look over here. Look at this. Look at that X. And X is on the Y-axis. These are goods. So if you're going to have two goods, we're going to deal in a production possibility frontier. We're in a different field, a different environment, a different world than the supply and demand world. We could write that over here. So a German takes 400 hours. Okay, good to know. Running out of room over there. For a car, and 2 hours for wine. Wine is not spelled with an H. The other country we're concerned about is France. So I see London, I see France. They make cars and wine as well. 600 hours for a car, and how many hours for wine? Doesn't say. Fill in the blank. Okay, cool. So we'll call it big fat Roman numeral X for wine. For what values of X will gain from trade be possible? Ooh, this is a good question. I'll have to think about it for a second. When would trade be beneficial from trade be them? There, check all that apply. For what values of X will Germany export cars and import wine? Oh, I wish you asked me this before so I can think about it for a few minutes. Now I have to do it on the spot, that's okay. It just makes the stream a little longer, but. So we know who has the absolute advantage in cars. Germany has the absolute value in cars. And France, we don't. I mean, it could be either way. If they let's look at the first one. If they have a 1, then they don't have an absolute value in wine. but absolute value doesn't matter. What matters is comparative advantage. So let's see how expensive a car is for Germany in terms of wine. So for every car, we're not told how many hours they have, so we don't know how big this can be. So I'm just going to delete that because we don't know how many hours they have available, so we don't know what their production possibilities are. In 2 hours, they can make one piece of wine, or in 2 hours, they can make a piece of a car. So a car is 400 hours in terms of wine. 400 divided by 2 means that 200 wine per car. What is the difference? Oh, good question, Martha. 200 wine per car. Let's answer Martha's question first. What is the difference between absolute and comparative? Comparative is the more complex one. Absolute advantage says, looking at Germany here, who's more efficient at creating cars? Germany can create a car in 400 hours. France could create a car in 600 hours. Therefore, Germany has the absolute advantage in car making. They can do it in less hours than France can. Comparative advantage is asking yourself, what are you best at doing? So, for instance, if Germany wants to make another car, that means they can't create 200 bottles of wine, because they would have to take the same amount of hours devoted to wine viticulture and put those laborers and those workers and move them over to the car manufacturers. On France, we don't know what their comparative advantage is, because that's kind of the unknown. That's the more difficult part of this question. So 600 divided by x equals, France's wine per car. So if trade is going to be beneficial, then Germany and France, or this is my guess, because like I said, I haven't worked out this problem beforehand. Germany and France will have to have different comparative advantages. Why is it not 200? So Elias says, comparative. One economy produces goods at a lower opportunity cost than the other. Yes. Sergio asks, why is it not 200 cars per wine? Oh, good question. Yes, because it's not. But good question. It takes 400 hours. So he's asking about. Can you see it? Where does it go? Where to go? There it is. He's asking about this. Why is this 200 wine bottles per car? If you devote 400 hours, you can create one car. If you devote 400 hours, you can create 200 bottles of wine. So with those 400 hours, you have a choice. You can either devote it to wine production or you can devote it to car manufacturing. That means for every car you make, that costs Germany 400 hours, Germany could have created 200 bottles of wine instead, had their workers been working in the grape fields. So that's why. Hope that helps. Looking over here at France, France is sitting at 600 something, 600 divided by X bottles of wine per car. If Germany is going to have, because we already know they have the absolute advantage in cars, but maybe they have the comparative advantage in cars. If they have the comparative advantage in cars, that means 600 divided by X has to be they don't have to give up as much wine, so it'd have to be less than 200. So if this is the way to do it, just bring over solve for the x. The x over on this side becomes 6 divided by 2 because the zeros drop out, and that's equal to 3. So in this case, according to our numbers here, 3, 700, and 800, Oh, let's see how close I am. Not for 3. Okay, so it should be strictly less than. That's fine. I wasn't sure about 3 because it's equal at 3. So you have to have x be greater than 3 in order for the two countries to have different comparative advantages. For example, if x, I guess I'll do this one in blue. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. I don't even know where the Control Z. Okay. If x is, we'll say x is 5. Well, actually, we're going to make it easy. We're going to make x 6. So if x is equal to 6, then France will create how many bottles of wine for every car? They'll do 100 bottles of wine per car. Meaning that if Germany wants to create more wine, or if Germany wants to create more cars, they have to give up more wine in order to do so. If France wants to create more cars, they have to give up less wine in order to do so. So they should both specialize. Okay. And then for what values of X will Germany export cars and import wine? Right. Anything bigger than 3. Let me know. Yeah, if you got any other questions, let me know. If not, I think we'll sign off, and we'll meet up next time. But I'm happy to answer more, so don't be shy. To them, if you're like watching it and you have something on your mind at the moment, feel free to comment inside the YouTube comment section. It's one reason why I picked YouTube, because I thought it was a fairly easy to use platform, at least on the user end. Here on the streaming end, I'm still figuring it out. But leave any feedback, or if you have any questions there, don't hesitate to ask. But with that, we're going to say bye. So you guys have a good Monday. We'll meet back here Thursday at 4:30. And for those who are watching this afterwards, again, feel free to submit any questions or say, hey, can you go over this homework problem? So that's it. See you guys later.